Well, hello everybody, and welcome back to G Bear's Off-Grid Ways, a homestead in the desert. Here we are on July 9th, 2019. And since I didn't have to go on the roof and do any plywood handling today, or OSB if you want to call it that, there was no wind, just a mild breeze. Wouldn't you know it? All right. Anyway, I got my trimmers in place and I got those plumbed. Okay, I got my header in place. I got that completely level. It's perfect, right on the money. And that's at the highest point that I could put it to make it usable, which is giving me, I think, let's see, I wrote some figures down here. Yeah, it gives me, my door is going to be 111 3/4 inches tall by 99 inches, wide by 99 inches tall, and it'll be 2 inches thick. And I'll be using 2x3s on the door with a 1/2 inch fascia. And then on the inside, I'll have it insulated, and I'll have my wire, security wire on there. And I'll be using number 720 springs on the hardware. That should be enough to handle this door. All right. I also have some sheet metal that I can coat over the outside of the door after I'm all done for a little added security and strength, and a little extra insulation. Okay, I got the curb poured on the base here. And when you're doing something like that, okay, this is a garage door opening. There are some very important points you want to know about. Number one, you want to make sure that your sides these are called crips or cripples, and they're holding up the header. Now, you want to make sure that these are perfectly plumb up and down, and they're not twisted one way or the other. You want them to be perfectly squared off to the base. You want that header to be perfectly balanced, and I mean level as level can be, so that when you get your door in place here, the door's going to be built square, so it's going to have to fit into a nice square opening. All right, and the next thing is the curb. If you're building a house, this curb would be part of the concrete floor all poured at one time, or later on, I'm going to need an apron out here. So this form on this side is only a 2x2, and that allowed the concrete to go underneath it, and it's going to make a keyed step there. So when I put a concrete apron up to it on this side later, it'll be resting on that step, and it'll be a Z-shaped or an L-shaped keyway that'll lock the two together. And I usually drill and pin those with pins so that also locks them in a little bit better. You could, if you're pouring all of this for a house or something, you could leave rebar sticking out so that you could attach to those. But I didn't have that, so I used expanded steel. I had some of that left over, and I cut it down into strips, and I put that in here for a steel reinforcement inside this concrete. Of course, this is pretty strong concrete. I think that I'm using I think it was 3,000 PSI. It's high strength. I don't see the PSI listing on here. But anyway, it's the high strength concrete, so that's going to be a really strong. And you want that smooth and level when you put that in, so that when the door comes down, you don't have gaps underneath or anything like that. So here's my 6-foot level. I use this to set the forms and set everything. And look at that bubble. Oh, that's so nice, isn't it? Right. And then, let's see, I could turn this the other way. And we're going to go up against the side here and look at that bubble. Right on the money. All right. So I'm not going to go through each piece and show you each piece. You take my word for it. When I build things, I build them straight. All right. So everything's looking great in here. I had that door open. Somebody mentioned wind tunnel effect. Oh my God, that was great today because it was only a light breeze. Swung that door open, and I had a nice cool breeze blowing through here in the shade. I even had a bunch of lizards come in and join me because it was so nice in there. All right, we're going to head down real quick because I'm already running up on 5 minutes here, and I want to address some situations for Forever North. I'm going to give him a thumbs up because he took my advice, got his other panels hooked up today, got his MC4 connectors, and he's doing great on his power now. He's able to run his freezer and all of that stuff, and he's only got a voltage drop of around 6 volts. So with everything running except for his laptop, I told him to go ahead and plug that in and run everything else too, and see what his charge looks like going to his batteries. If he's still charging above 12.6, then the batteries are still taking a charge as he's running all that stuff. That's a good thing. Now, if it drops below 12.6, which is full battery, then you're actually using battery power at that time. It's not detrimental, but it does work the batteries a little extra, and you'd like to have those batteries full charged when you shut everything off at night and go to bed. So try to keep up there above 12.6 on your battery banks. All right, we're down here at the garden house. Look at those tomatoes. I've been picking tomatoes left and right. These things are so delicious. I can't stop eating them. Anyway, yeah, I've been getting green beans off my pole beans. Pretty soon I'll be eating pears. I've been eating corn. I've eaten so much corn that, well, a lot of these stalks are all completely wiped out now. And there's just some little tiny ears left on those. And I'll take those off and I'll scrape the corn off of those and put them all together, and I'll make creamed corn out of those, which is a recipe I'll have to show you guys when I do that. It's not hard. I got cucumbers growing here, and I've been eating cucumbers. Tomatoes going crazy. And I got lots of little avocado trees popping up all over the place. And my watermelon plants are really kicking out there. So are my pumpkins. These are some prunings I took off of the tomato bushes here. And I got them into some soil with some silica sand to keep them wet. And a few of them have taken. So I'll have some extra tomato plants going in. Another cucumber plant going nuts over here. These trees are really doing well. Remember, I put these in back on April 1st of this year. Excuse me. And they were 33.5 inches tall at that point. Well, right now, that's already up at about 60 inches. Well, maybe even 62 inches. I haven't measured it recently, but it's grown. Definitely grown. Garlic doing excellent here. All my tomatoes, these are Marzanos, San Marzanos. Those things are really meaty, delicious. I got another little cucumber down there. And my potato over there is going crazy. I pulled some small potatoes out of here. I've got to dig down in there because all the plants have died off. So there's still potatoes underneath there that I can pull out. And I'll save the small ones and replant those when the weather gets a little cooler and start new potatoes off of those. My peppers doing great down here. My jalapenos, I've got a lot of extra jalapenos on there. Another tomato plant popped up there. I got a couple of others that are popping up over there that just came up by themselves. All right, stepping around the corner here, if I don't trip and kill myself. All these little plants popping up. These are all peas. The peas that I had growing here, I picked them all. I canned them. I have peas to eat inside in a canning jar. And I took a couple of the pods and I broke them open, let them sun dry out here. You can see this is what a pod looks like. And there's probably there's a couple of seeds still left in that one. I'll plant those. And I planted those seeds from the pea pods. And I've got probably another, 20 plants coming up in this area here of peas, and I'm going to go over that again. So these little corn stalks here, they're small stalks, but I did get some good ears of corn off of there. Those last two in the back over there have 4 good ears on there, and those are going to be going into my tummy. Get in my tummy. All right, this one is getting beaten up by the heat. I've got the shade cloth to go on this end of the garden house, and I've got to get that put up. Also, this grapevine on this side is doing a lot better than the grapevine on that side. And look at this avocado tree. Okay, these are all pits that I threw into my compost pile last year because I had no place to put them. And then after I built the garden, I transferred all that compost as the base underneath this raised garden, and I put my new Kellogg soil over the top of it, and a bunch of those things popped up. So I've got them growing all over the place. I've got another one that's back in the corn here. Let's see if I can get to it right there. And that one's probably about 14, 15 inches tall itself. But this one is really healthy, and it's doing really well. So I'm going to have to protect that when the cold weather comes around and see if I can't keep that one going. And it'll work as a nice shade tree right here in the center as it grows up a little taller. All right, I'm going to move on down the line, and as I'm going, I will talk to North, Forever North Sanctuary. And okay, a couple of the things. Oh boy, I should have written this down. I hate that stuff. Anyway, on your solar panels, you're doing just fine, buddy. Showing 12.7 while you're running all the stuff that you were running shows that you are still putting a charge into your batteries. Not much, but you are putting it. Another thing, your freezer. I know you said you run the freezer a few hours and then shut it off. Well, you've got it running well now. Let it run all the way up till it shuts itself off. And then don't open it. Keep it closed. And keep a lot of frozen stuff inside of it. Okay? And that thing will only run when the sun heats it up again. It'll only run during the day, because at nighttime, if you don't open it, you keep it closed, and you've got a lot of frozen stuff in there, it should maintain temperature through the nighttime. I found that out the hard way out here. I used to have a timer on my refrigerator, and I would have the timer shut the refrigerator off for 4 to 6 hours during the night. And then I'd get up in the morning, and the refrigerator had to turn on and run because it wasn't maintaining the temperature. Well, try that and see what it takes off of your batteries. After you get them fully charged during the day and you get your freezer down to temperature and you've got it stocked full of cold stuff, frozen stuff, that frozen stuff should maintain, just like you had a power outage. You were living in a house and you had a power outage and the power was out for 4 to 6 hours. As long as you kept that freezer closed, your freezer stuff should stay frozen. So think about that. All right, and do get yourself at least 2 more panels, at least 2 more. I'd like to see you have 4 more. I'd like to see you putting out 800 watts or bringing in 800 watts for the stuff that you want to run, especially as the days get shorter. You're not going to have sunlight through as many hours of the day. You're going to need that extra power coming in when the sun is only up for 9 hours or 10 hours a day. So you're going to want you're going to want to do that. Also, I know the batteries are expensive, but you're going to have to get yourself a bigger battery bank, especially for the winter time, because well, you're not going to have to freeze many things during the winter up where you're at. But you definitely will be using more power during darker hours and taking less in, so you're going to want a bigger battery bank so you don't overwork your batteries. It's cheaper to add a couple of batteries than it is to replace a couple of ones that are just trashed out. So you want to get that battery bank up to par. So if it means cutting back on a few things like I had to do, then that's what you have to do. It's a hard thing to get started, but once you're settled in, like now, you must be sighing, have a big sigh of relief, knowing that hey, those extra panels and that little extra work that you did got you into a good situation now. You can sit back and rest better. You can get your batteries charged on your laptop and your cell phone. You can keep your freezer frozen. You can cut the fan off if you have to, and take the fan away from the whole situation, and leave the radio turned off if you need a little extra power to charge things. You got to make adjustments as you go along, and you know that. So good luck, buddy, and keep in touch. Let me know how things are going. G-Bear reminding you to give me a thumbs up down there. Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. And also, some of you that are subscribed, check your subscriptions. If you recently got updates from YouTube and installed those, or if they auto-installed, you may have been automatically unsubscribed. So I've had a couple of people tell me that already. You do want to check that to make sure you're still subscribed. All right. G-Bear signing off.